Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think we can continue.
We can continue. That's fine. All right. So, today, as we ended yesterday, we ended at decision making, and we are going to continue for today. I don't want us to do lots for the day. I want us to go through few, then we pause for next week. And today we will end with a little assignment that you have to go through at least. Play with it over the weekend till next Thursday that we will meet again. Then we go through that assignment, and it will basically comprise of what we've discussed so far. So today I want us to go through the decision making, then the loops, then a bit of the arrays. Because array, I want to take my time to go through the arrays. So I want us to go through the decision making, then the loop, the loops now, then a bit of the arrays, then we end for the day. So for the decision making, let me change my mouse. All right. So in our day-to-day activities, we come up with we are faced with lots of issues that we need to take critical decisions on the next move. So apparently, this our lifestyle has been also been captured in the programming environment. So there will come a time that we will need to make some decisions in our logics. For example, if let's say we want to verify a certain vehicle, and you want to check whether the vehicle is either private or bus or something. This statement I just lay down on is a condition because I brought an if there. So you want to check if the car is this and this and so there is the condition of which if a certain the statement the condition if it is meta something should happen else something shouldn't happen. So that is a brief of our lifestyle decisions that we make, which is also applied in programming. So over here, they've given us a simple flow of the if, else if, and the simple if statement, the if else statement. That's a simple flow of it over here. So let me read from the top here and come back to this place. So here we have the if, else, if, and else and switch statements are used to take decisions based on the different conditions. You can use conditional statements in your code to make your decisions. PHP supports the following three decision making statements. So that is the if else statement, the else if statement, then the switch statement. However, you can you end up using the if else and the else if statement a lot. The switch statement is sometimes to me in my line of programming, no, I hardly use the switch statement. I only use the switch statement when I'm doing APIs. That is where I use the switch statement because then the switch statement is more powerful to me than to use the normal if else in developing writing my APIs. So depending on what you are doing, your condition, that will determine which of the decision making types that you want to use. Okay. So for a simple if statement with this condition, you starting from the top here with the arrow. There's a condition that has to be tested. So here, this diamond symbol here depicts a decision object. So if you remember your flowchart diagrams, whenever you see the diamond sign, it represents a decision. At that point in time, there's a decision that has to be taken. And the result is always a boolean, either yes or no. So if you test the condition and if the condition is positive, so it has here to the right side, it says if condition is false, then it should go and end the flow. But if the condition is true, then it should now test the conditional code. So that is the simple flow chart here that depicts how the if else statement is. So let's float through and see. So this is a basic syntax for the if else statement. So if the condition, then you execute your code here. Else you execute your code here. So it means if this condition here, whether positive or negative, whatever results that you want to display, if the result the condition is negative, you put them here. Else you put them here. So this is the basic syntax of the if else. And a simple example has been given here. We have d equal to the date. So date day. So if the day is equal to Friday, you remember this operator here. We studied this one yesterday. So if the day is equal to Friday, then you have to echo have a nice weekend. Else, you should have a nice day. So let's copy this one to our code and test it and see. We can do some adjustment and see how the condition will work. So I'll share. So I'll share this code, the PHP store on screen, and I'll paste these ones here. So here it's saying, let me show the lines. So from line 3, we have defined a variable d, and we've assigned the date to the d, and we are testing to see the date, the d, which of the days is present now. So if today is Friday, then it should tell us you have a nice day. Else it should tell us have a nice weekend. Else it should tell us you should have a nice day. So let's save this and run it in our browser and let's see the results. Then we come to make some adjustments and see how it also work for us. So I'll share the other screen. Let me go here. Come here, then reload. So it's telling us to have a nice weekend because today is Friday. Now let's go back to the code. So now let's say if the day is equal to MON, Monday, if you tell us have a nice day on this, let's still follow the same code and see. So it means if the day is equal to Monday, today is not equal to Monday. So we should expect the second answer to be given to us. So if today is not equal to Monday, if it is actually not equal to Monday, so we should have a nice day instead of have a nice weekend. So let's run that one and see how the results will come. Okay, fine. So we have a nice day because today is Friday. So this is a basic syntax or a basic implementation of the if statement. So if we notice here, it was presented without the blocks, without a curly brace. This is also acceptable. Okay, without a curly brace, you can also present your code in this form. But preferably, I prefer to put all of them in the blocks. Okay, I prefer to put all of them in the blocks because most of the times you deal with several lines of code in the decision table in the decision blocks. We do a lot of codes in there, and to organize it well and to prevent confusion, it's best you just leave them in the blocks in the curly braces so that it will be well organized for you. So this also works the same as the earlier one. So I'll save it, then run it, and let's see how it will appear. Okay, so this is this. So when you run it, it's the same thing. It didn't change anything. So this code here has been implemented for us to see the demo of it. So that is it for the if else. So let's go to the else if statement. So for the else if statement is like testing multiple conditions. Okay, so you have here if you want to execute some code, if one of the several conditions are true, use the else if statement. So the else if comes in when let's say there are lots of conditions to be tested. So let's say we are searching for a certain person is wanted, and we are giving some features about the person um, to be easily identified. Then we say if the person is a male, it should be considered, and if the person is of dark color, it should be considered. And if the person is so, if there are a lot of conditions to be satisfied to, produce a certain results, then you need the else if statement. So that is how it is. And for the else if statement, it also has to end with the else. You can't do the else if statement without ending with the else. So all the conditions, if all of them are not met, then what should be the last result? And so that is where we do the else if condition. So now let's implement this one using our standard terminal reporting. So over
Hello.
here, yes, please.
Yes. I want a little clarification.
Okay.
I'm saying that the if else if must necessarily end with an else.
Yes, please.
Okay. So assuming you want to do if else if, but then the else itself doesn't have any, like you don't want to execute any code there. Can you have an empty else? I don't
Okay.
know whether
So
you are getting it.
yeah. So
Mhm.
um programmatically and professionally, the correct formula to implement the if else if is to end with the else. If let's say you don't have anything to display in the else,
Mhm.
which practically is very on the low side, that
Mhm.
implementing, like we are in the position to implement else if else if, and you don't have anything to display in the last end. It is very rare that's a rare case. That's a very rare case. But let's say in a situation whereby you don't have anything to display there, you can just leave it like that,
Okay.
an empty block. You can just leave it like that.
Okay.
Nothing will happen.
Okay. Okay.
uh But for example, we'll just go to a certain example. Then, like for
Okay.
example, the if else, you can have an if without an else. That is possible. That is just only
Mhm.
testing a certain small thing.
Mhm.
So that one is possible over there. That one is likely to have that one a lot. But when you trans to the if else if, then that one, it means the conditions you are testing are a lot. And if
Mhm.
all of them are not met, display something to the user.
Mhm.
Do you get it? So let's say
Yeah.
you are doing a login portal, a login screen. Then you test. Is the password and the username correct? If that one is correct, then check another parameter. If that one too is not correct, then you have to check. So you'll be cascading. You'll be doing a lot of nested if, another if else in there too. Then finally, you should tell the person that no, or if all these parameters are not met, then either your account is blocked or something. So there's a message you have to display to the person. Do you get it? So in such scenario, you will need to display something to the user at the end of the day, and that is where your else has to come in.
Okay. All right.
So that is how it is. So
Okay.
with the same date here, let's copy this one and paste it in our test area. Then after this one, we just implement the grading system. Then we apply that one too and see how we can play with the else if the code. All right. So I'll clear this as usual. So it's saying, as explained earlier, if the day, let me just update this one to make it a day. So if the day, so as I was explaining yesterday, let me just reverse this one. Let's say I want to change, there are a lot of the D variable in there, and I want to change them at once. I'll just use the replace, this very option here. So I'll select what I want to change. Then I'll click on the replace. Then I have it here. Then I'll now bring in what I want to replace the D with. So day. So here it will tell me I have 3 matches. So should I replace only one by one or all? So when I click on all, I have them all changed at once. So that is the implementation of that function, the replace function. All right. So here we are saying that the day, the variable day is assigned to date. Today's date, we are just picking the day out of it, right? Then we now test it. So the first condition, if day is Friday, it should display have a nice weekend. Else, if the day is equal to Sunday, it should tell us have a nice Sunday. Else, do you get the point here now? So if all these ones are not true, let's say we go through all of them, Monday to Sunday, then the day that's the results over there in the day, if it is not any of them, so at least tell us that, hey brother, this your day is not part of the days of the week. For you to at least to make for your algorithm to be smart. For example, if you are programming a robot, and you want the robot to be very, very smart, a lot of conditions, robots dwell on conditional statements. So over there, robots will tell you, you ask the robot, what is today? What is the day like? What's the name of the day? Then to tell you it will scan through with this same formula. It will pick the day and assign it to this one and run through. Today is Friday, and to tell you today is Friday. Then let's say today is a certain day that is not part of the week. We have created a new, or let's say the robot is found in, let's say, Jupiter, where probably the days over there are different from what is on Earth. Then the robot goes through search and it's not seeing anything. Then it becomes an endless loop, a kind of. It will be going through that, telling the user, say, oh, nah, I'm not seeing the day that you're requesting for in my list. You get it? So you end up confusing the robot. That is why when you meet a lot of cases where you have to test a lot, or you do a lot of testing there, there's supposed to be at least an else block to complete the decision that you are taking. So I think this one gives a further explanation to the earlier question. So now let's run this one and see how this one will work for us. So as usual, I'll sync it and save. So I'm here. So we come here, and it's telling us nice. Have a nice weekend because today is Friday. Good. So let's go in there and change some parameters and see if it will throw the other side for us. So we come here and we change this variable. Let me duplicate it. Then comment on this one. Then make assign another variable to this. So let's say I make this one Monday. And Monday is not in the list. It's not in any of the decisions. So we are expected to have a nice day instead of the Sunday and the weekend. So let me think and save. Then let's run it. Voila. It's telling us have a nice day because Monday is not part of the condition that we are testing. So that is how the condition, what do you call it, the if else statement works. So now let's do another test here. For example, if let's say we have
hello.
Yes, sir.
Maybe you can go to the conditions. I just want to also give an example of what really one time I had a very big headache when I took over. So you can just bring that the SIC data.
Okay. Okay, so should I let you share your screen?
No. Your own screen. I'll just use the screen to desktop.
Okay, so you want the tutorial screen or the
PHP
store?
Where you have the conditional statements. I just want to.
Okay, so let me come here. Okay, is it here?
No problem.
Okay.
You see, when I took over the payroll and I was running the payroll, we used to have a report that was given to the SICLA, that is the SIC ladies. And in a department, the report was having only two conditions, whether it is a male or female. Sex, we're testing sex. If sex is M, else then you know that if it's not M, it's F. But the problem was using just that two conditions, I will have the number of female that will be more than the female in that department, because I was just testing whether it is a male. If it's M, else this. And I didn't know the data, so it was really confusing me until I brought in something like this, where else if. So if sex is M, that is male. Else if it is F, is female. Else it means that it is any other thing which was not in it. And it was that one that threw they say not knowing why they were captured. You see, data capturing, if you don't like the sex field, it should either be F or M. But if you leave it, somebody can type another thing.
Yes.
And so in the sex field, not knowing they had other characters there. And so whilst I was using the first conditions, I was having this thing wrong. So I think this explains why if you say it should always end with else. Else will trap what you have not even thought of.
Exactly.
Because in the data, you think that if it's not a male, it's a female. So you are just using if sex is M, else it should be F. Until I did this one and I trapped some of the errors which were different from F and M.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you very much, sir. I quite remember back in school too when we were being taught these same conditions and programming back in school. We were taught that whenever you are programming or writing any code, you don't have to assume that the data or the person you are developing for is as correct as you are. You just have to always assume that the person you are developing the application for is a madman or even an animal who will do anything outside the norm. So you should always think for any other uncertainties that can come out from the system. When if you have that in mind, you wouldn't say, okay, this data is coming from an intellectual house. Let's say that you've gotten data from the parliament or the judiciary. Coming from that kind of institution, you think you might assume say, oh, these people they are very elite, so they will do the right thing. Then you come and you deploy the thing. You use a certain decision statement, which will throw some errors to you. Meanwhile, if you are giving the system the ultimatum to also think for the mad people too, you realize there were some mad people who were entering the data in there too. So at least at the end of the day, your algorithm will still fit for such group, and you wouldn't find yourself for anything. So it is still very important to always track the final condition. That is else if which I keep be and so they be at least just display something to us a like something to us for us to confirm say yeah that thing is not in the distance in the data or in the report. So it's an advice, and thank you, Mr. Bedu, for the practical experience that you shared. So we'll go to the other example. If let's say we are doing terminal report for students, we have to build a logic for terminal report, which is very common in our schools. And let's say we have a certain variable here called student mask. So student mark. Okay. Then we put something here. We put a number here. Let's say 50. So this student mark, when I come to test it. So with this one, this very example, we can use the switch to do it, and we can also use the if to do it. So we will say if condition. So if the student mark the student mark is greater than or equal to. Yesterday, I think we came across this operator. So greater than or equal to 50. So for this example, we might think that we have 50 here, so we go straight to 50. Then we just complete this one. And then at the end of the day, you realize, okay, somebody will come and test -5. Then the system might crash because -5 is not within your defined data set. So here it wouldn't be good for us to start with the 50. You should give it a certain large range, so that the others that will come with, let's say, some integers that are not within the positive integers, then you should throw an error for us, or a certain number that is beyond the maximum range, then you should also throw us a certain number. So we will start from, let's say, the minimum score somebody can get is 0. So if the grade is greater than or equal to 0, and let's say for the school we can have, let me bring a comment here. We can have, say, 0 to 20. Let's say fail, or let me say, okay, 0 to 20. Let me go down here. Then we have 21 to 40, and we have 41 to 60. We have 61 to 80. We have 81 to 90. Then 91 to 100. So these are the marks allocation that we have in our school, the grading regions. So if you score within 91 to 100, we should give you a score of, or a grade of, grade A. Then it follows like that. This one will give me grade B. The others will give me grade C, B, C, D, and E, F. Okay. So now this is what you want to code for. How do we code this? We will use our if statement to do it. If, else, if, to do this one. So now our first range, the range is from 0 to 20. So we will say the 0 to 20, they are all inclusive. If they are inclusive, then you have to bring this operator greater than or equal to 0. Then we bring this our logical operator to end, the end. Yesterday, I think if you remember, we came across this entry, the end operator. So, and if the student mark is less than or equal to 20, then you should display something first. So you should echo this grade is F. So you should echo grade F. Then we come, let me give a space here. So we have else if then the condition. Then we state again. So I'll just do copy and paste here. Okay. Paste. Then I'll change the boundaries 21 to 40. I'll bring the block. So here will give us grade E. Clear the upper one. All right. So I'll do I'll duplicate this one several times to meet the other ones. So we have done 1, 2. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So to duplicate this one vertically, I have to bring it, I have to select all and press Control D. So Control D, 3, 4, 5, 6. B, C, D, E, F. So I just duplicate it. You can do copy and paste severally. It will be the same thing. So I'll now change the ranges here. So here we have the 41 to 60. This E. We have 61 to 80. We have C. We have 81, 90, and we have B. Then the 90, 91 to 100. We have A. Then our final else ends it. So it's assumed that someone scored negative something. In our school, we don't accept negative score. So it's either the teacher gives a correct score for the person in a way. And here too, it looks like we are accepting only decimals. But this also, if when you pick a decimal, it also pick it up because the PHP is that flexible. You don't need to define the variable here to pick only decimals or integers unless you specifically define that you want to convert this value into integer or a decimal. That side will come there later on. So here we are saying else it should echo that. Sorry. The student mark outside our grading then I terminate it. Then for when you terminate it and you don't want, let's say there are some other flows that should run after this very line 39, I'll just pause everything. So I'll just return false here. So if there are so many other commands that should run after this one, the program will end over there until I enter something positive. So now I've assigned 50 here to the variable student mark, which is expected to flow over here. It's a D. It's in the D range. It's in the D range because the D is 41 to 60. So now let's save it and run it and see how this small algorithm will work for us. Can I even save it? All right. So save it. Oh, I've closed it. All right. No, don't have an idea. All right. So voila, we have our grade D displayed in here. The grade D. So we go back and make some changes. Let's make some swift changes there. And enter, let's say, -50 or 150. Sorry, this one is 1000. Let's make it 100 or 150. So let's see what the 150 will produce. The 150 is outside the range. So when somebody, a teacher mistakenly records a student mark of 150%, then that person should be called to attention to change the grading, the mark that has been allocated to the student. So basically, this is a simple a simple code to perform and the if-else statement, the if-else-if statement. So in here, we can have, there's another one too called cascaded nested if. Sorry, nested if. So let me see if our tutorial talks about it. If it doesn't, then I'll come in there to also um, um, talk about the nested if. Okay. So I'll go back to, please, as I'm presenting, as if you have any question, just chip it in, then we will pause and listen to you. As the flow continues.
Hello.
Yes, please.
What happens to if maybe the max the max you have 21.5?
Okay.
Yeah, or the 20.5 rather. But we have 20.5. It will fall in the last one or
So 20.5 will fall in the, with this algorithm, the 20.5 will fall under the last one.
yes.
Just
You say
because
sorry.
that point, it will say sorry, the student mark is outside, but that one too is wrong. So it means we have to check this thing again. The conditions that we are checking, we have to consider it again. So let's check, let's say the 20.5, which is midway 20 and 21. So let's see if what we are saying is will be proved. Yes, so it's telling us this, but it is wrong. Practically, it is wrong because the 20.5 is within 0 and 100. So it means we have written a bad code. So we go in there to make a correction. And that correction will be here. So instead of starting from 21, you change this equal to and make it 20, from 20 to 40. Then we change this one to the 40. Since it's greater than 40, it means the 40 is not inclusive. That is what it means. So here we will bring the 60 and bring it 80.
Yeah.
And here becomes 90. So I think this one will now cater for the other the other ranges. So here from 0 to 20. From here it will start from 21 to 40. Here too will start from 41 to 60. And this one to start from 61. Likewise the others. So now let's test our 20.5. So in testing, beam. So it's now working. Please, any other observations? I'll go back to the code. Any other observations? Then we fine tune the small algorithm that we've written here. All right. Then I think it's okay now, and
Yes, that's fine.
it's okay now, and the understanding is now clear. So let's continue from um, the other examples that were given in here. So we are done with the else if. Now it is moving us straight to the switch statement, but it didn't tell us the nested if. So I'll go back there and talk about the nested if before I come to the switch statement. So what we mean by the nested if is this. Assuming within the first condition, you want to test another condition within that condition again. For example, what example can we give here? So fine, we can do this. If let's say, sorry, I want to clean this example. Clear this one. Then we go to the nested if. So let's say we have a certain number. So given the mathematical terms, so given, let's say, a variable var num is equal to a certain integer. So let's say integer 80. Then we test. We want to know if one, the variable that has been given, the number that has been given, is exactly 80. If it is exactly 80, we want to know if the value 80 is less than 100 or is greater than 100. Then it should tell us something that, yes, actually, the value there is 80. Or let's say if the value is 80 and we want to really confirm that the value is 80, let's divide. If we divide the value, the 80 divided by 2, and we have 40, then it means the value is 80. Just let's play around this small logic and see. Definitely 80 divided by 2 will give us 40. So we will say that, let's check. The first condition that you do is this. If the variable there is equal to, is it exactly equal to 80? Fine. So if yes, the yes here means whatever condition I put here means in the first one. So let me put the else here defined. So it means here we'll echo the positive results to display the positive results, where the else will surely display the negative result. So if indeed the variable here is 80, we want to test and see, say, if this variable is divided by 2 and the answer is 40, then it should tell us that yes, the value entered is actually 80. So how do we do that? We also introduce another local variable here. So we say div. So the variable is var num divided by 2. So we bring another nested if here. So if the value that has been kept in the div is equal to, but note that whenever we bring the if, we can't use only one only one equal sign to check the actuality of the variable we are searching for. It only goes with syntax wise, and it only goes with a double equal sign, which depicts the exactly equal. We have the 4 or the 3, which has another meaning. I think we went through yesterday. But with this one, we want to make sure that we want to determine whether the value that has been stored in the variable is exactly the 80 that we are expecting. So in this case, we say if the div is exactly 40, then now it should echo. The echo here can be, yesterday we were doing the print, we're using the print, but today we are using echo. But yesterday I remember I said there are various ways of displaying something to the browser using PHP. So here we are using the echo. So we say echo the value is actually 80. Sorry, 80. Here, I just want to test one thing. So I can choose not to bring an else in here. All right, or else I can still bring the else here to also display that no, though the value divided by 2, the value entered here is 80, but when it's divided by 2, we didn't get the 40, which in this scenario is hardly that occurrence or occur. Okay, because as soon as this is 80, definitely divided by 2 we get 40, but anything can happen. So let's bring the else here, which will not take any life of us. Let's bring it here and say echo the value is not 80. The value is not 80. we have here. So within here, all about the nested if is what we have done here. So here you see we have the main if block, then we have another if here. We can have if, multiple nested if in one if statement. So that is what we mean by the nested if. So now to conclude, here we're testing the number, the given number. So here, if it is not equal to 80, then it should tell us that, sorry, the given number is not 80. We terminate it. Then we bring our return false and we terminate that line. So that is it. So let's now run this application, this algorithm, and see how it will work for us. Automatically and mathematically, we should expect this answer. The value is actually 80. If there is any if there's any other result that should come, then we should come and authenticate our logic that we've written here. So now I'll save it and run it in the browser for us to see. So now I refresh it and it's telling us the value is actually 80. Okay, so let's make some changes in there and let's see how it will still reflect. So we can just tweak this one to 89. So 89, we save it, then we run it. Then it's give us, sorry, the given number is not equal, it's not 80. So that is how the nested if works. So whenever you are faced with a certain scenario where you need to do multiple testing, it can go as far as your situation is. You can be doing multiple testing and a whole lot of things. But if you are doing, if there is a such case that you have to do multiple multiple testing or multiple tests, you can resort to the switch statement, and that one too solve the issue in a way. So that is it for the nested if. Okay, that is for the nested if. So I'll pause here and ask for questions. Is anybody having any question to be clarified on?
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I am okay at this point.
Yeah, okay. So Frank and Felix, Mr. Bedu, are we all okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yes, yeah, I'm okay.
That's fine. Fine. Is Frank around? Okay. Mr. Okran, are you okay? All right, I think he will be there. Okay. So now, the next item here is the switch statement. So the switch also works just as the if else, if statement. So here it's saying that if you want to select one or many blocks of code to be executed, use the switch statement. The switch statement is used to avoid long blocks of if else if then else code. Just as I was saying, the switch saves us from that implementation of the nested if. But still, it depends on this thing you are doing. It still depends on your condition and how flexible you want to use them. So let's see. So this is the syntax. The syntax is switch the expression. Then the other cases follows. So if the case label 1 is so case label 1, case the first test, then bring your code here, then you break it. Then label 2, then you break it. So this one, as I was doing the return false, over here we are using the breaks in here. So we have the final else. in this case, we have the default. So if not all of them, then it should display the defaulted expression. That is how the switch statement also works. So let's go through some switch examples. So yeah, it's telling us the switch statement works in an unusual way. First, it elevates given expression, then seeks a label to match the resulting value, blah, blah, blah. You can read it. So let's focus on the practical aspect here. So now I'll copy, as usual, I'll copy their test codes here and run it into our system. Then we now interpret it. Anyway. Good. Okay. So over here we have um, the day. So we have the day here assigned to the day variable. So let me bring the day here. Then so instead of us to use the if else, so this case here depicts the if else. Okay. So here we are saying that we've given the name of the day, and we want to test it and see which of the days has been given to us. So we are going to switch that variable. Okay, we are going to switch it. So if that variable is Monday, it should give us this, then ends the whole flow. If it is Tuesday, it should give us this, just as the others follow. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to Sunday, you display this one to us. If it is not any of this, then it should give us this default value here. Wonder which day is this. You see, wonder which day it is. So that is how it is.
Your screen is showing.
My screen is not sharing. Sorry.
No.
Okay. Sharing.
I can see the screen.
Please, do you have it now? Alex, do you see the screen now?
I can see it.
I think I can also see. So maybe you could check your this thing too, because I can also.
Felix, check your device, either your phone or the laptop. Check it and see, because everyone is seeing it.
Let me leave and rejoin again. See if it will come.
No problem. Okay. So as I was saying, this is a simple implementation of the if else. I don't really see much difference in the switch case and the if else if. So I'll just advise whichever decision type that you want to use or you want to implement in your code, just adapt to it, then use it, because they all do the same thing. But it's either this one will be faster than the other, that one there. So me, if I'm doing a more secured script like an API, I'll definitely use the switch statement. I'll use the switch um, decision type to help me through, because with the API sometimes you wouldn't know which method the person is passing, either post or get, or whatever request the person is passing. So if you use the switch, when you switch the request, the method type, then it easily runs your this thing for you. So when I'm doing APIs, which when you move from this initial stages to the advanced stage, I'll teach you how to write API scripts. When it gets there, we'll make good use of the switch statement. But for the normal day-to-day problems activities, we'll just be using the if else then we go that. All right, so let's run this file and see how the switch statement will also work for us. So I'll save it and share the web page. I'll exit this one. Then I'll share the web page. All right, then I'll run here. So reload. So it's telling us today is Friday. as usual. Today is Friday. So let's go back there and change the day to some certain name. Let's say December. And let's see how that one too will respond to us. So let's change the day. So let's change this day. Let me duplicate this one and comment the first one and change this one to December. So I'll save it, then go to the web page. Go to the web page and see the results. So the algorithm is wondering which day it is. December is not a day. So that is it for the switch statement. Same switch statement can be used to perform our grading algorithm that we wrote earlier. So that is it for the decision. I think it ends here. So that is it for the decision making, types. Now we jump to the loops. So before we go to the loops, please, is there any question that needs to be clarified before I move to the loops types? That's fine. So the loops. Felix, do you see the screen now?
Yes, I can see the screen now.
That's fine. That's fine. So
but I missed the switch, but I can go later on. I can get look over it.
oh, okay. I'm recording the screen, so I'll share the link again when we are done. Okay. Or do you want us to go back there to walk you
Okay.
through?
Oh no, let's continue.
We can continue. Okay. Okay. Fine. Fine. So the loops. I think in PHP and loops are used to execute same blocks and so on, so blah blah blah. PHP support this. So these are the 4 types of PHP supports. And for me, I mostly use these two, the for and the while loop. The do while and the for each. The do while perform the same functions as the while loop, and the for also performs similar functions as the for each. Though the for each is mostly used in arrays, as defined there. So basically, I use most of this, the for while loop, and the for each, as usual, is implemented when I'm doing APIs. That is where I use the for each. But the normal day-to-day codes, I use the for and the while loop. It is most dominant in the codes that I write. So that I'll go through all of them with this tutorial. Then going forward, you'll see automatically which one will be aligned to us. So the for loop here says loops through a block of code a specified number of times. And the while loop says it loops through a block of code if and as long as specified condition is true. Okay. Then the do while loops through a block of code once and then repeats the loop as long as a specified condition is true. So do so and so until the certain condition is true, then it stops. Then for each loops through a block of code for each element in an array. So then we also discussed the constraint and break. Okay, so let's start from the for loop. So the for loop, this is a basic flowchart of how for loop is implemented. So it's saying for iterating variable in sequence statement, if no more items in sequence, then you should end. Else, the next item from sequence, you should execute the statement. What it means is this: for the syntax of the for loop, you always have an initialization, then the condition, then the increment. So the increment here can be either increment or decrement. So you have to first initialize the loop. Then if you're starting from the initialization, if you're starting from, let's say, 0 or 1 or 2, it should have an end. So when should it get to end the loop? Else you have an endless loop. And endless loop is not a best programming practice. So as soon as you initiate, you have to bring the end. So the end defines the condition. Then what do you want to do? Are you starting from 10 down to 0? or you're starting from 0 down to 10. If it is 0 to 10, it means there should be an increment. And yesterday, we realized the plus plus increment where there's plus 1 to any iteration. There's a plus 1 to it. And the minus minus 2 signifies that there is always a minus 1 to every iteration. Okay. So once these conditions are defined in the 4 parameters, no, once all the parameters are well defined, then you execute your code here. This is the syntax, the basic syntax of it. All right. So yes, we'll just chew this one by heart. It will come by default. So now let's go through the example by ourselves and see how the display will look like. So I'll share the other side. Did I copy? Copy. Okay. Oh, all right, so we are done with the switch. I will just clear all of this space for the loop. Okay, this loop is having an error. I didn't copy now. Yeah. Okay, so here the loop initially defined it assigned 0 to A, 0 to B, and it's saying for I it is initializing. So this part, initializes the loop, and this is the condition, and this is the increment. Okay, so here it's saying it should start from 0 and ends at 4 because the 5 here is I is less than 5. So it means 5 is not inclusive. But at the end of the day, since it's starting from 0, it will have 5 elements if you should display its the contents of this loop, right? So it's to start from 0 and ends at 4. Then of every iteration, it should add plus 1 to it. That is what this increment means. So it means when it starts from 1 and it goes, the next one, it will start from 0. Then it checks the condition. The condition, it has not been met. Then it will come here. Then it will add 1 to it. Then it will go to 1. So here it will come here 1. Check the condition. Is it less than 5? Yes. Then come here. Add 1 to it. Then it comes here. It will do when it gets to 4 and it comes here. 4 is less than that. It will come and add 1 to it. Then it will come back here. Then here the I is 5. So is 5 less than 5? No. Then it will stop. That is what this loop explains. So now, in the example, it is saying that for every loop, the A value, the A which is already 0 here, should be added to itself 10. Okay, it should be added to itself 10. Yesterday we saw how this operator worked. So here it means that it's the same as, let's say, let me bring here, A is equal to variable A as 10. This is what this one means. These two, they mean the same thing, but this is a short. They're using a short notation to do that. Okay, and that is more, cute. It's more cute than the second one. All right. So here we are saying when it loops for the first time, it should add 10 to itself. When it loops for the second one, it should also add 10 to its value again. Okay, so it should be adding itself until the last one is met. So with this one, if the first one is 10, then the second one now is 10 again. So now it becomes 20. The third one becomes 30. Likewise now until they finish. So since it's going on 4 rounds, then we should have A is equal to 4 or something. Then same here, same explanation happens to the B2. B start from 0. So 0, then first one is 5, then 15 upwards. So that is how this one works. Okay. So it's saying at the end of the loop, it should display the value of the A, that is the total sum of value of A, total sum of value of B to us. Okay, so that is what this loop will work. That's how it will work. All right. So now let's save it and run the loop now. run the file and see how the display will look like. Go here, click on this. So it's saying A is 50, then B is 25. A is 50 and B is 25. Okay, so now let's go there and do it ourselves. Let's calculate it ourselves and see if A is truly supposed to be 50 or not. So we can see that okay. So we can see that fine. The first one is 0, and this loop, as I said earlier, it is looping 5 times because it's starting from 0 to 4, and from 0 as part of it. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5. So definitely the A will be 50, and definitely this one is 5 times itself 5, which will be 25. So definitely the answer given to us now is correct. Please, is the explanation clear to us?
Can you go over it
the
again?
explanation? Let me go over it. Okay, fine. In the first place, I'll take this one off the loop, or let me keep it in the loop. I'll comment them. Just want us to display the number of times this loop will go. So I'll just echo within the loop. I'll echo I, the value I. Then let's say since I want it to be on a different line, I'll concatenate it with the break tag, so that it will go to a new line. Then I'll comment on this echo here. So here, what I want to do is, I just want to know the number of times this loop will go. All right. I want to know the number of times this loop will go. Then that one was help us to understand this logic here, the A and the B logic here. Okay. So let's run this this code and see how the outlook will look like. So now when I reload, you see we have 0. The first one is 0 as part of it. The second one is 1, 2, 3, 4. Because we said for every iteration, you should add 1 to it. The first iteration, the initializer was 0. So it will go, the 0 will be counted as part of it. So it will display the 0. The second one, it will add 1 to it. The next one, it will add 2, and the 3, and the 4. Okay, so I'll copy them. Then go back to the code. So here, it means that we have something like we have this. So for the first iteration, in the first iteration, we have A. Okay, A is 0. Okay, and we are saying here that A is equal to A plus 10, which is 10. Now, in the first iteration, the A is 10. That is what this side means. So let me just take this one out now and bring this one back so that I can explain it well. So now I'm sure we've all understood the number of counts of the iteration, the loop here. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the total number of times the loop will iterate. And for each iteration, this A here, the meaning of this side is like this. Variable A is equal to variable A plus 10. That is what it means. So for the first iteration, it is saying that A, which is the variable A, which is now 0, we are now adding the 0 to 10, and 0 plus 10 is 10, and we are assigning it back to the A. That is what it means. So the first item here on line 11 here will be 10. Then we go to the second one. So currently A is no more 0. I'm sure we understand that one now. Okay, Felix.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now at that point,
Yes.
A is no more 10. Sorry, A is no more 0. A is now 10. So for the second iteration, which is iteration 1 on line 12, now it is now 10 is equal to 10 plus 10, which will give us 20. Are we good? Then now A is no more 10 again. Now A is 20. So now we say 20 plus 10, which on the second iteration, which is the third one, no, it now becomes 30. The same thing for the second, the next one. Now A is no more 20, A is now 30. So now we have 30 is equal to 30 plus 10, which will give us 40. Then on the final loop, which is the fourth one, no, the fourth iteration, it will now be 40 plus 40 is equal to 40 plus 10, which will give us 50. Hence, the answer A being equal to 50, as we saw earlier. The same thing goes to the second one. So the second one, we also have um, say 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here, the first item, which is 5, the B is 0. And we are saying here to the meaning is this, is B is equal to the B plus 5. That is what it means. And we just shorten it into this form. Okay. So now we are saying that in the first iteration, B is 0, which is the initialization over here at the top here. Has been assigned to 0 has been assigned to B. Fine. So here we have B here to be 0 plus 0 plus 5, which here in the first iteration it will be 5. The first iteration is 0 here because it's starting from 0, the position 0. Okay. Then we say that now on the second iteration, B is no more 0, but B is rather 5. So we are saying 5 is equal to 5 plus 5, which will give us 10. So in the second position of the iteration, we'll have B to be 10. Then now B here is no more 5. B here is 10. So the next iteration, which we are also going to add 10, 5 to the 10, is going to be like 10 is equal to 10 plus 5, which is equal to 15. So now B here is 15. So the expression explains that B is equal to 15 plus 5, which is going to give us 20 in the third iteration. Then now the final iteration sets in. So we have here to be 20 plus 20 is equal to 20 plus 5, which is going to give us 25. So at the end of the day, at this point, the iteration has met its condition because we have now exceeded. When you move the next one, the number I here becomes 5, which is not less than 5. So the iteration ends. Then the result here on line 25 is displayed to us. That is why on the screen, when we run it on the browser, we ended up having B. We ended up having B is equaling to, sorry, B being equal to 25 and the A being equal to 50. Please, do you understand the code now?
Yes, I do understand.
Okay. Felix, do you understand it now?
Yes, I'm okay now.
Okay. Okay. Frank, are you there? Okay. I'm sure he has issue with the sound. Boss, you are here. Oh, okay. No, well, okay. All right. All right. Sorry. Okay, so he's also around, not feeling well. Okay, so Mr. Bedu, please, is it okay for you to?
Yeah.
Sure, sure. Okay, so now, um, let me go to which screen is being shared now. This one. All right. So I'll go back to what we were going through. So now that is it for the for loop. It's very nice loop to work with, the for loop. We will understand it very soon. As we practice it the more, we get to understand it very soon. So now the while loop. So the while loop also picks, yes, sir. The while loop also pick a condition. Then it's the code to be executed. So while the condition is met, execute this condition, execute the statement. So I'll pick this record. I'll also copy it and paste it in our coding environment. Then we explain it there. Okay. So I'll clear these codes, then replace them with the while loop. So now let's explain what we have here. Over here, we have seen I equal they've assigned I 0 to I and 50 to the num variable and the I variable. And they are saying that while I is less than 10, while I is less than 10, reduce the number variable, reduce the 50. So that is what it means here. So until I is less than 10, it will still loop. And upon every loop, the 50 will be reduced by 1. That is what it means over here. So if you remember, yesterday I was talking about the plus plus increment and the minus minus decrement. Even in the for loop, I also spoke about it. And that is what you are experiencing here. So here, for every loop here, this number 50 here will decrease to will decrease by 1 until the ninth iteration. Then it ends because by the ninth iteration we've exhausted the thing. Because here the I here has been assigned to 0, so I is starting from 0, and 0 is less than 10, so it will loop the first one. So the first iteration, the 0 position will be 49. Then it flows like that, like that, like that till the end. So let's see when you say loop stops at I is equal to so and so, and the number is this. So here it wants to see when the loop stops, what will be the value of I and what will be the value of num. That is what it means here. So I'll run this one in our browser, then come back to explain what this Wenu means, what this very code or this loop means. As I've first given an oral one, I'll give a practical explanation as I did on the for loop here. So let me save this one, then sorry, go back to this place to share the other screen. So the loop stops at 10, then the number is 40. Okay, so let's go and see what they mean by this. Loop stops at 10, and the number is this. The number is 40. Let's see if they are not confusing us. Good. So for each iteration, we are saying the I should increase by 1. So here the I will continue to increase by 1. So definitely, since I is starting from 0 and it counts, it will be 0 to 9, which is 10, which their I is correct. Now let's consider the 40, the num one, the num here. So for us to see how the flow works, let's echo the num in a sequence so that you will see how they ended up to the 40. So echo this and break it. Yeah, this. Wait. Now, let me share the screen and see how come they ended at the 40. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So I think we understand it from here. So it's 49 to 40, and it's 10 counts. So it will definitely end up at 40. That's fine. So what it means is this. What it means is this. Let me comment this one. On the first iteration, which is the zero position. Let me bring this one here as usual. The zero position, I is equal to 0. Say I is equal to 0. Then the number is equal to 49. That is for the first one. Then the second set, when I is equal to 1, this one, the num will reduce to 8, 48. Then the next one, when I is equal to 2, num is equal to 47. Because for every iteration, they are saying we should reduce the number here by 1. So that is what we are seeing here. So we are running the loop here manually to see if we end up to their value, the value that was displayed there as 40. So the next one, when I is 3, we have -1 here, 6. When I is 4, yes, when I is 4, num is 45. When I is 5, the num is 44. I is 6, we have 43. When I is 7, we have 42. When I is 8, we have 41. And when I is 9, we have 40. So when I is 10, but as soon as I is 10, it means 10 over here in the loop, we have 10 less than 10, which is wrong. So it means I will end at 9, the 9th iteration. And it's saying when they stops, as soon as the loop stops, what will be the value of I? It means the value of I will be 9. And okay, sorry, this is the total count. So here it's rather increasing the I count over here. So it is I is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is what it means here. So on the first one, it should rather be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. It is so because here the initialization is 1, is 0. And it is saying that this condition, when the I is less than 10, it should reduce the number value, which is 50, by 1 and increase the I. So it means here the first iteration, the I is no more 0 again. It is starting from 1 now. So that is what here this side means. So when the I is 1, the num is decreased by 1. So as one is increasing, the other one is decreasing. So that is why at the end of the loop, when the loop stops, we will have I to be 10 and the num to be 40. So that is what this loops explains. Please, is it clear to us?
Yes, it's clear to me.
It's clear. Okay. Alex, do you get it?
Yes, I do.
That's fine. Was Bedu?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Actually,
So
when you started and you did it, the 049, I was a little, I was thinking, this one should have been one.
you also escaped me. I thought I was doing the follow. So sorry, and thank you for that. So now we've gone through the while loop. Now we are okay with it. So now let's challenge ourselves with the other ones. Do while. The next step is the do while loop. So this one, you go when you hit the word, then you stop. That is how this one means. It's funny. So let's see. Let's, as usual, copy this one and run it in our code. Practically test it and see how effective it is. So I'll clear this. Then we define what they've said, what they've put in down here. So here they are saying that we should display when the loop stops, what is I? So I, let's search for I. I is here. And I should be less than 10. This is not different from what we did just recently ago. It's not different. Here it's saying once I is less than 10, then I is starting from 0. You should start counting from 1. So we do first one. I is 0, it's less than 10. You should go and add 1 to this one. So this one will increase by 1. The first one will be 1, 0 plus 1. Then on the next iteration, it will be the first other increment 2 up till the ninth position, which will be 10. That is what this side means. So let's practically test it here and see how it will behave. So on the first iteration, which is the 0, when I is equal to 0, is equal to 0, and 0 is less than 10. Now I is I plus 1. So the I plus 1 will be I now will be equal to 0 plus 1, which is equal to 1. This wouldn't confuse us. So when I is 0 in the loop, no, I will be equal to 0 plus 1, which is 1. Then when I is equal to 1, so this the first section here, the first set here tests the condition. Then the other one here tests the increment here. That is what I want to mean. So we want to do it and see where it will end. So the second one here, it will be 1. Now the I is equal to 1. So here it will be 1 plus 1, which is 2. Then when I is equal to 2, the third iteration. On the third iteration here, it will be 2 plus 1, which is equal to 3. Then on the fourth iteration, which is the third iteration, I will be 3 plus 1, which will be 4. On the fifth iteration, that is the memory space there, it is the fourth iteration that is there. So here we have 4 plus 1, which is the 5. Then we have on the fifth iteration, we have here to be 5 plus 1, which is 6. Then on and on and on. This one too, on the sixth one, still 6 is less than it's less than 10. So we have here 6 and 7. Then we have here 7 plus 1, which is 8. Then on the eighth iteration, we have this one, which is 9. Then on the 10th iteration, we have the line which is equal to 10. So here the iteration has run 10 times. But since it started from the 0, when we count this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we have 10 rounds here. And in the 10 rounds, each of them we're adding 1 to the do loop. So at the end of the loop, because this one is 10, so now here we have 10 less than 10, which is not correct. So it means the loop has to stop. And when it stopped, we are having our I to be 10 here. So we'll save this one and test it and see if our results here will be equal to the results in the loop node. So when we run it in a browser, we should get 10. So we have a balanced equation here. So it's 10 as DSS. Please, any question to this explanation? Is it okay? With a do while. That's fine. Okay. So now let's continue on to the other side. Which one did they talk about? So the for each expression, it comes with an array, which we'll treat that one when it gets to the arrays. So I won't go through the for each today. So practically with the breaks and other things, I'll leave them. These ones you can just go through them. The breaks and other things, they won't be mostly used in our environment. Personally, I hardly use them. So you can play around them in your leisure time. Okay. So today, as I said, we wouldn't go through. We didn't spend my time. We just wanted to do the decision making, the loops, and a bit of the array. But I'll push the array to next week. Then we treat array next week. Then we can proceed from. We add some few things to it. Then we can proceed from there. Because looking at the structure here, it is getting deeper as it goes. It's getting deeper. Functions, we treated functions yesterday. So next week, we'll be handling sessions, cookies, mails. We didn't be going to mails, file upload, not now. The coding standards, then some few other things. We'll just be going through, we'll just do hand picking from them. And we go through them. I also prepare another package for the next week too. All right. So this is it for today. Any question before I chip in the assignment?
I don't have any question.
Okay. So any other Felix?
Same.
Mr. Abedi? Okay. All right. No question. All right. Okay. So for the assignment, we have to write we have to write a logic to compute the body mass index, the BMI of for yourself. So if you put in some parameters, they should calculate and tell you your BMI and also tell whether you are obese, you are overweight, or you are normal. So the formula for BMI is BMI, I think is equal to weight divided by height times 10,000. So I'm giving the figure here. Let me bring let me share this screen. Okay, so BMI, we have to just write. Let me bring this one. Let me do it this way. So write a simple code to compute body mass index. Body mass index to bracket BMI. That is the first one. Then the code is supposed to determine if your okay, to determine your status from the BMI value. So the status into brackets, be it normal, overweight, or normal, overweight, or obese. So this is the simple code, and the hint is this. So the hint is BMI is equal to the weight divided by height divided by height. So it's like okay, divided by height, another height again. Times 10,000. That's the formula. There are a lot of formulas too, but whatever formula you choose, it should give the same answer. So that is the assignment. Any clarification on the assignment? And here you are expected to use, definitely you'll be using the if else. So your implementation should capture your implementation should capture the if else condition statement. So this is the assignment for the week. So we just have to brainstorm it over the weekend. It's very simple. You just have to just get the analysis, then put some few parameters in there, then just calculate it. What I'm interested here is the answer is supposed to be correct though, because when it goes through, you wouldn't have to go to Bob Freeman to get your BMI status calculated for you. You can just use your own calculator to do that. And I want just to, appreciate the implementation of the if statement, the conditional statement. And so that is for this week. Thank you for your time and your attention. Any other question? Yes, please.
Well, we don't know what is normal, what is overweight, and what is.
Okay, so if the range, there are some ranges. If the range is something, for the ranges, I don't have them offered though.
Okay.
I don't have the ranges offered, but there are ranges. If the range is something within the week, probably tomorrow, I'll search the ranges and update it.
Oh, then I think you wanted us to do a research to do
the research.
Oh, because
that I wanted I wanted you to do the research yourself. But I'll search for the ranges. I'll search for the correct ranges. Then we see. It will make your work easier.
Can you use of your formula? Can we use the other formulas? Can we apply the other from BMI?
Yes, there are other formulas for calculating BMI. Yes, there are other formulas. So when you bring it on board, you define, you go through your codes for us to see what you did. So the formula, you also test it and see. I'll try and get the other whatever formula you get aside this one, just drop it on our WhatsApp page so that we can also try and adapt it. So somebody can choose to, you can extend your application to test all the formulas. So if there are 5 formulas, you can test your application to use. If somebody is selecting formula A, then you should use this go to this block to do. Else, if someone is using formula B, then so we'll be taxed to. Felix, if you have other formula, there are some other formulas for calculating BMI. So if you have other ones, just drop it there. Then we all add it to our code so that the code will be universal.
Okay.
Is it okay? Right. So you can drop your own when you come across anyone. If I also come across the other ones too, I'll just drop them on our group. Then it will make it interesting. Any other clarification?
Sure.
So you're saying it is width divided by height again.
Yes.
So that's it.
Is it 10,000 or 1,000?
It's 10,000.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I think can we end here now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So thank you once again for your time, and we meet